I'm jumping the gun. I should probably open the meeting first, huh? Call to order concurrent meeting of School Administrative Unit Number 12 School Board in Londonderry School District, Tuesday, November the 25th, 7 o'clock p.m. With that, have I got any public comment or anybody want to say anything before I ask Jason to come up?
I've been in after Jason.
Yeah. All right, Jay, why don't you come on up? It's an information update for the high school. Thank you.
I wanted to acknowledge and publicly thank the Londonderry Police Department and the Londonderry High School administration for their efforts and persistence in the investigation of threats that have been made over the last month at the high school. Those written threats and the identified locations, particularly our school resource officer, Adam Lane, and our assistant principal, Greg Warren, took the lead in the investigation, and they reviewed hours of videotape, did handwriting analysis, questioned and interviewed several students, and they were able to apprehend 2 who admitted to writing the threats. We felt good about that because they had apprehended these students before November 20th, which was the date that was cited in these threats, and obviously it put our community, our families, on edge going into that day. So we felt a lot better having apprehended those 2, and again, want to thank the superintendent and Chief Ryan for their support. Although we didn't feel the threats were credible, we still took proper precautions as a school. All 3 SROs were in the building that day, along with assistance from the Londonderry Police, from a day shift personnel who came in to check on things. But the day came and went without incident. Want to thank the families for their support. Over 1,600 students showed up to school that day. So in corresponding with them, I think they were put at ease. And whenever you have time-sensitive information, and I learned this the hard way in this instance, it was really good to have the high school listserv. So I want to thank Tom Cranmer and our office assistants for getting that up and running. And we were able to send that email out to over 1,500 families before the 20th, just letting them know what had happened, what we were doing to ensure the safety of their students. We only sent out just under 300 hard copies, so that was good that the community had information in a timely manner, and the day went without incident. So I'm just very pleased with that. Appreciate the support of the community, the district office, the LPD, and our administrative team. Are there
Jay,
any questions?
Thank you very much. I mean, you're the public face of that high school, and you know, the way that you handled this is certainly a credit to you, and it's a credit to the administration. And I also want to thank the SROs. And, you know, quite frankly, those 3 officers face 6,600 folks day in, day out. They're a critical part of the policing in this community. They are a critical part of this district. And to all those folks who consistently throw them on the block every single time we need to talk about budgets, just remember that. Those 3 officers see more people on a daily basis than probably any other officer, except maybe those who see people pass at the airport. So I will just remind our colleagues across the aisle of that. And again, Jay, you've done a great job with this, and we appreciate it. At some point, at least as one member of the board, I'd probably like to talk a little bit about the opportunity that kids have to text message through the building, and whether we need to do something about that or not to kind of prevent things like that from spreading.
Okay.
So any other questions or comments for Jay?
One thing, Nate, last year in the budget process, we teased about you going green. And I think this is a good example with the use of the emails to the parents, and I believe the high school's probably the lowest percentage, and there are 1,500 emails that went out of 1,800 students, as compared to the middle school and the elementary schools, which there are much higher percentages. So we are now using, for emergencies and special communications, the email as a rapid way of getting information out to parents. And just coming into the Times instead of sending a letter out and trying to get it there. So thank you very much, and thank you for the effort from all the administrations to get to that point. That was not an easy task. It wasn't an easy task entering all that information into the database. So thank you very much.
And just, if I could quickly just piggyback
Sure.
on Ron's point, I checked with our office personnel, and we were happy with how many emails had gone out, and I just asked what the cost savings was with that, and we saved $200 every time we send out that correspondence versus sending 1,800 letters to community members, so.
There you go. And I think
you
it
very
gets to
much.
them quicker as well, so,
Yes.
obviously.
Thanks.
Okay, and Ron, I think you had
Yeah,
something?
I've got something under the questions and announcements, and it's one of those things, Lincoln is at it again. As you know, the warrant article that Bob normally sponsors failed last year. However, over the last few weeks, there's some work being done at the high school. And as he does every year, but goes unnoticed because of the money that the community gives us, he gets donations from the community to do work. And so far this year, one of his latest effort is the field that's below the track. He had the Londonderry Scoreboard Association do a rough grade on that football practice field. They're going to make it into a practice field. When we spoke to Howard and he looked at all the numbers, he didn't need game fields. He needed practice areas for children to play, which is, 2 or 3 levels less than a varsity game field. So Bob went out there and he solicited dollars and he got the rough grade on that field. Then he got the Dugout Association, the United Soccer, football boosters, lacrosse boosters to upgrade the Lincoln Field there and smooth out the piles of dirt there. He got the Mullers Foundation and the Scoreboard Association to stump dump the field behind the high school, behind the high school gym. He got that done. And then he had the Londonderry Scoreboard Association and Dorman Construction and the high school boosters work on the football practice field, another donation from there. And then Londonderry United Soccer is working to enlarge the lacrosse game field to accommodate soccer games there. So overall, these donations, while they're not a whole bunch of money, they're little monies that we're able to do some work to get us in a position to bring some of these practice fields back to tuition. So I have to thank Bob for his efforts to get these donations and the people that have made the donations to the group. And it made a big difference. It'll make a big difference coming into the fall of '09. Thank you.
Thanks, Ron. It's always good to hear those kind of things. We've got some more terrific news here from our music department. This past weekend, the All-State auditions were held, and we've got a whole bevy of kids from the high school who've been asked to participate at the All-State Music Festival. So for the All-State Chorus, we've got Scott Bergendahl and Nick DeFrancesco. The All-State Band, Maddie Aiken, Hillary Gorgal, Robbie Feinberg, Ryan Cornelsen, Aaron B.A., and the All-State Orchestra, Emily Aiken, Rosalie Q, Anna Larson, Jeffrey Sullivan, Yang Tang, and Meg Yankowskis. So congratulations to all those, and we look forward to hearing more from you. Anything else from the board? With that, the following meetings have been posted. December 2nd, 7 p.m. is a budget workshop here. December 4th, 7 p.m., a budget workshop here. December 9th is the regular board meeting. Again, in this room. December the 11th is a budget workshop here, and December 16th and 18th are reserved as open budget workshops. And I think that was it. And Nate, we've got one request for an overnight.
Right, the board has a copy of the request from Don Magrulla, coach of the girls varsity basketball team for an overnight to attend a preseason scrimmage tournament. It's December 6th and 7th, which is a Saturday and Sunday. This is a trip they've taken in the past.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion, we accept the overnight trip. We grant the request for an overnight trip to Bristol, Connecticut.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Question.
Yep.
How many days out of school?
None.
Thank you.
One question.
Yep.
I see teams from Kearsarge, Londonderry, and Alvern all participating in this, which is great. I'm just wondering if the organizers have looked into sharing a bus or something.
Can't answer that, John. I don't know.
Well,
Might be an idea.
I think they're taking a van, and then parents are also taking their kids, so
Okay.
I don't think
one
we'd
of
be
the
able to get
advantages that we
any
have is we
cheaper
have our
than that, John.
vans, yeah.
Okay.
Thanks, John. It's a good idea, though. I have a motion, a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, and with that, Nate, I will turn it over to you.
Right, the purpose of tonight's activity is basically a budget, a general overview of the budget from Peter and myself, just to frame the upcoming budget meetings. Traditionally, we go through our budget message and then wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. So I'd like to take the opportunity now on behalf of the administration, faculty, and staff to wish the school board and the community and all our students a very happy Thanksgiving and an enjoyable holiday with time with family and friends. Also, at this point, too, before I begin my presentation, I want to extend my thanks to the entire administrative staff, and in particular Peter and Anita in the work that they've done in assembling the budget. For those of you that aren't aware, we start our budget preparation in August, and obviously then it becomes through fruition in January, and then a final vote in March. But the administrative staff spent an enormous amount of time in developing the budget, taking a look at our programs and services and staffing, and making what I consider to be some important decisions to maintain and support our program. And with that, what I'd like to do is basically give an overview of some of the highlights and make some points regarding the budget, and then Peter will do the same from his end, and Peter will then also just walk you through the budget book so that everyone has an understanding of how it's organized. For those individuals who are more comfortable with a disc, we have provided in the on the inside cover a disc of the budget, and if you prefer to work off of that as opposed to paper, it's there for you. We will also, too, for the public's convenience, post the entire proposed budget on the website tomorrow.
It's already there.
So if anyone wants to spend their Thanksgiving going through it, they have that opportunity. This budget represents our 8th year of matching our strategic planning priorities to our financial strategy. This is a continuation of our adopted methodology of how our district initiates, manages, and prioritizes educational and operational needs to financial support structures. This proposed budget is a financial picture of our recommended program for the 2009-2010 school year. There are several major themes running through our budget development process this year. Prudent progress and solidification of instruction and management initiatives, continuing and enhancing our cost avoidance and cost savings activities, as well as maintaining and supporting the high level of service to our students, parents, and community, and at the same time being mindful of the economic situation we're all in. Our revised and updated strategic plan for 2008 through 2013 was developed with school board and administration input and the data collected from the first 7 years of our strategic plan. As the board is aware, we've translated the priorities into 5 long-term goals, 15 priority areas encompassing 64 objectives and 382 actions. Our goals basically hit 5 areas. Ensure that curriculum, instruction, and assessment are designed and delivered to enable diverse learners to achieve or exceed district standards. To achieve, Goal 2, achieve and sustain the highest level of professional competency. Goal 3, provide adequate space in order to meet the educational needs of all students and the effective operations of all school facilities. Goal 4, create and maintain two-way communication among all stakeholders in the school district. And Goal 5, to create and maintain an efficient and effective organization that supports the district mission. To provide you with a framework for reviewing the budget, we've identified in this memo, in summary, significant initiatives by goal area to assist all those concerned in the important process of reviewing the proposed 2009-2010 budget. As you go through the budget document, you will notice that the administrators and budget developers have identified specific goals, objectives, and priority areas and related that to their budget requests. What I'll do now is highlight under each of the goal areas some of the continuing initiatives and/or new initiatives that are part and parcel of this budget. Under curriculum instruction, we're going to continue funding of the decennial NEAS accreditation activities for Londonderry High School. continued support of the elementary math program, including our online text, continued implementation of the phonemic awareness program, continued implementation of the DIBBLS and online data system, continued implementation of Iowa assessments and interactive results manager, and continued support of elementary science program. New and replacement text and instructional software. At the high school, we're looking to implement the new modern chemistry text, which replaces a 1998 book that we're using. Implement Insights to Biology, which replaces a 1999 edition. The board, at a recent board meeting, had an opportunity to review that biology text. Implement Human Anatomy and Physiology and Visual Basic .NET software and text. The middle school, continue with the Spectrum workbooks, grades 6, 7, and 8 CMP books, our vocabulary book, our Wordly Wise in grade 8, atlases, a grade 7 language arts pilot, grade 6 literature and language workbooks, and grade 6 through 8 Pearson AMP system for intervention reading program for students at risk. At the elementary level, continue with the consumable workbooks in our math program, the consumables for our reading program, and consumable reading, math, and writing materials for elementary special education, and full implementation of the grade 3 and 4 science program. At the high school, we're looking to continue the implementation of our career pathways and advanced courses. As the board is aware, we have 17 honors courses now, 71 sections, with an enrollment of 994 students. We are also offering 11 AP courses, 20 sections, with an enrollment of 404 students. Our project running START programs, of which students, if they so desire, can receive college credit, have 17 courses with an enrollment of 427 students eligible for college credits. And those courses include accounting, anatomy and physiology, AP computer science, college physics, Cisco, C++, calculus, computer maintenance and repair, 1 and 2, intro to engineering, photography, practicing the art of teaching, and principles of marketing. I think it also is well worth noting that the community maintenance and repair program is the program where we had our students build the computers, which in fact we are using on a regular basis, and save significant money, as well as gave our kids an opportunity to actually participate in building computers and working on them. And in addition to that, just an interesting side note, we are now going to build some computers to see if in fact we can sell them in the student store, and we'll also offer a guarantee. So it's an initiation of that program. Continue implementation of our core reading program and continuation of the expanded accelerated math and reading programs at the middle school, so that they will allow our students to enter advanced geometry in grade 9. Continuation with the science benchmarks. We are looking, as you will find, as we'll discuss later, increasing staff for the kindergarten special education program due to enrollment and student needs. Continued implementation of our special education programs, which have saved us significant amounts of money over the years in developing our own in-house programs, and I'll speak in greater detail to that later. Continue with and support our school to career program, including 45 internships. Continue with our LIFT program. Continue the implementation of our adult ed and alternative programs. Last year, we had 46 students graduate from adult ed. Of those 46, 33 went on to college. Since its inception in 03-04, this program has assisted 258 students graduating with a Londonderry High School diploma, enabled them to graduate on time. Continue with the implementation of Block Humanities program. Continue with the implementation of our GED program. I think it's important to note that since we started that in 2004, 423 people have passed the GED test. Continue with our summer school programs at the high school and middle school and at the elementary level. Maintain our tech-rich programs. Continue promotion and increase participation of students at Manchester Institute of Technology and Alvern, as well as the Bridges program. Continue support for Project Challenge. Continue the implementation of our college articulation agreements. We now have 22. Last year, I think this is extremely important to note, as a result of our articulation agreements, the scholarships over a 4-year period are worth $964,000. Continue the support for the More Than Words program, our middle school adventure program, continue with that. Continue the implementation of math grouping procedures at the middle school. Continued support for the PBIS programs at all the elementary schools. Continued implementation of in-house special ed programs, including EH, multisensory program, pervasive developmental disorders, autism, Asperger's, and developmental disabilities. Continued implementation of our grade level case managers. Continued implementation of our 3-tier reading intervention model, reading in the content areas, and our Lindemood phoneme sequencing program. Funding for our special ed tuition and transportation based on out-of-district placements. Align information computer technology curriculum and resources state standards. Continued funding for destination and imagination. Continued funding for elementary and middle school special curriculum programs. Maintain our replacement cycle for music and band programs, band uniforms, athletic equipment. Maintain the fundings for athletic programs and absorb increased rates for pool time and ice time. Continued utilization of students to build computers and initiate the utilization of thin clients to reduce computer replacement costs. Replacement equipment for proper maintenance of facilities, and provide appropriate staffing levels at all schools to meet instructional and support needs by redeployment and/or the elimination of positions. This is in regular ed, special ed, certified, as well as classified positions. And address enrollment patterns and maintain cost avoidance options in special education. This is important to note, and I'm going to come back to this later. A number of years ago, we made a concerted effort to develop in-house special education programs for 2 reasons. One, we felt that we could provide as good, if not better, programming and delivery of services to students in our own district. Second, by doing that, we could affect a cost savings. Next year alone, because of the development of our in-house programs, we will have a cost avoidance of $4,341,124. Now this year too, because of enrollment shifts, we took a long, hard look, both in regular ed and special ed, and we've made the following adjustments. Regarding swapping positions, because of enrollment trends in special education, we're doing the following. In LEAP, we're taking 6 hours from a LEAP assistant and moving that up to kindergarten to address student enrollment shifts there. We're taking a kindergarten assistant and moving that position to our BAS program at the elementary level. We're also taking 12 hours of assistant time from the BAS program at the elementary level and moving those hours to the middle school. We're dropping 12 hours of middle school assistant and moving those 12 hours to our Friends program at the elementary level. We're taking 6 hours from our PFS program and moving that to the middle school. We're taking 6 hours of Matthew Thornton Special Ed Assistant, moving that to the middle school. We're taking 18 hours of middle school assistant time and moving that to the high school. When we get to special ed, we'll go into more detail as to those shifts. We also are converting 6 hours of high school assistant and converting that into 20% of a high school teacher for our ACT program because of enrollment and programming needs. We're also taking a half of a special ed teacher from Matthew Thornton and moving that down to the kindergarten to address enrollment needs. We're also making a shift of 20% of a speech position at Matthew Thornton and moving that to the middle school. The net result is an increase of 20% of an FTE certified person and 6 hours and dropping 6 hours of classified for a net savings of $7,649. Now, as we looked at the elementary, middle, and high school programs, we took a look at our enrollment shifts and our trends, and we made what we consider to be some difficult decisions. And here is where we're going. Due to enrollment trends, our goal was basically to take a look, maintain educationally viable class sizes, and continue to provide program options at all levels, but be sensitive to current economic conditions. In addition, through the efforts of Mark Blunt, our Assistant Superintendent, we're able to transfer 3 positions from the general fund to federal funds, thus maintaining the services of 3 certified positions and reducing the impact on the budget by those 3 positions. Here are the adjustments as we go through. In special education, we are dropping 2 middle school sped positions, 6 hours of assistant time at Matthew Thornton, 12 hours at North, 18 hours at South, and 6 hours at the middle school. That's a total of 14 hours of assistance time and 2 certified positions in special education. At Matthew Thornton, we are dropping 3 elementary teachers, 10% of a PE, and 6 hours of clerical assistant time. At North School, we're adding 3 hours of assistant time, and we're shifting 1.5 positions to federal funds. At South School, we're shifting 1.5 positions to federal funds, dropping 2 regular ed positions, 5 hours of instructional assistant time, and 20% of guidance. At Moose Hill, we're dropping 1 kindergarten position and dropping 6 hours of instructional assistant time. At the middle school, we're recommending dropping 4 regular ed positions, 1 foreign language position, and an hours of monitors time. At the high school, 2 full-time positions. All elementary and media, we're recommending dropping a total of 13 hours of computer ed assistant and media assistant time. And we're also making a shift on some benefits. The net reductions is 18.3 full-time equivalents from the regular budget and 78 hours of clerical assistant time, clerical and assistant time. The total for swaps, addition, and reductions is 18.1 FTEs and 84 hours of clerical and assistance time. Thus, the net result of the additions reductions will net a sum of $1,255,787. Our second goal is to achieve and sustain the highest level of professional competency. To that end, we can continue to implement teacher supervision and evaluation program, including our 3-minute walkthroughs and a 4/5 evaluation model. Continue with the Teacher Induction Institute, continued funding for our Teachers Academy for Technology, funding of staff development opportunities for certified and support staff, continued distance learning opportunities, training for new and present employees in operational software, continued implementation of on-site master's program in collaboration with Riviera College. We estimate that we have saved $88,110 in cost reimbursement money since we started this program. Have offered to date 20 courses. We've had 219 staff enrolled, and 58 of our staff members have achieved their master's degree through this program. Continue with our action research, funding for staff development to address specific areas of our strategic plan, continued implementation and enhancement of our Disability Institute, continued expansion of the revised supervision and evaluation system for case managers, and continued implementation and review of our case manager handbook and training. Goal 3 is to provide adequate space. We've identified for the board a number of maintenance projects that we believe are necessary to maintain our facilities and keep them running in tip-top shape. And we've identified those for you. District-wide, we're looking for funding for replacement and additional custodial equipment, continuation of the energy management program. I think it's extremely important to note that during the past 8 years, because of our energy management program, we have realized a cost avoidance and savings of $2,600,000. We have converted Matthew Thornton in the middle school to natural gas. We believe the payback will be in less than 3 years and a cost savings of $150,000 over the next 5 years. It's also important to note that we're using less kilowatts of electricity, less therms of natural gas, and less fuel oil than 8 years ago, even though we've increased our square footage by 30%. We'll also have to absorb the anticipated increase in sewer fees and water rates. In addition, as the board is aware, 2 years ago, We switched phone companies, and we continue to have a cost avoidance of $18,000 per year because of a negotiated an extension on a lower rate. All at the same time while we accommodate the costs associated with after-school hours use of schools and facilities. We continue to average 150 events inside the buildings and over 100 athletic games and practices by school and recreational groups outside the building on a weekly basis. It also is important to note that our plant operation costs are 25% lower than the national average, 10% lower than the New Hampshire average. The national percentage was 9.2% of total budget. The New Hampshire average was 8% of the total budget. Londonderry comes in at about 7.2% of the total budget. And it's important also to note that our building and maintenance department maintains 687,382 square feet of building space. In creating and maintaining two-way communication among all shareholders, continue with the funding for the Insider Press, Leo 21, WLLOLP, our Accent on Achievement, funding and staffing for the district website, continued implementation of training for teachers and expanded web page design and activities, continued funding for release days and substitutes for cross-grade level meetings and curriculum articulation, sharing of data analysis between and among schools, including curriculum alignment, continued funding for Wings, our internal newsletter, maintenance of our online policy book, continued funding for materials, publications, and informational meetings for the community, Phase 2, implementation of our new student management system, continued implementation of teacher blogs for the Induction Institute. As Jay had mentioned too, the use of blasting email out to all our community, to all our parents, as many parents have signed up for it, for notices and the like. And also school board agendas, minutes, and policies posted on the web. Goal 5, create and maintain an efficient and effective organization. We're recommending funding of the Maintenance Trust to continue with upgrading and preventive maintenance of school facilities. Continue funding the Human Resources Department to continue initiatives in recruiting and retaining qualified personnel. Continuation of an institution of cost savings and cost avoidance actions, including but not limited to E-rate savings of more than $25,000 per year for telephone and internet. As I mentioned before, over $2.6 million cost avoidance the past 8 years due to energy management program, saving $300,000 annually. Nursing software, which we developed internally, is a $2,000 a year savings. Cost savings of $85,000 for consumable materials. Grade 3 and 4 Scott Forsman Science Program, cost avoidance of $118,000. Grade 7 literature pilots, cost avoidance of $28,497 and $12,878 respectively. The high school biology text, cost avoidance of $1,800. The chemistry text, cost avoidance of $19,000. A copyright manual is provided online versus in print form that saves us about $2,500. The new ITET Users Guide is posted online. With utilization of state library overdrive audiobooks via the Leach Library for our special ed and 504 students, that's $12,000 a year. Utilization of email for library media department program communications and operations. Our Leo partnerships with the PTAs and O's and Friends of Music to procure DVD duplication equipment and for sales of programming has generated $5,000 in revenue. Total cost avoidance of in-house special ed programs from FY06 through FY10 will be $18,251,791. That's an average of $3,650,358 a year, including next year's cost avoidance of $4,341,124. Hosting More Than Words on site. Several years ago, we restructured the schedule at the middle school, which at no additional cost gave us additional instructional time. In fact, they gave us 7 additional instructional days. our continued working of going green, parent emails, electronic notices, posting of student handbooks on school websites. All the teacher handbooks are posted on the school websites. We have created an inventory of all our elementary texts so that we can shift them from one school to another. And we're using the school websites to post information for parents, such as school calendar and routine notices, and continued redeployment and purchase of hardware based on job and instructional activities. Continued implementation of our technology initiative template. We're also, as I had mentioned earlier, purchase of thin clients to increase the cost effectiveness of technology and hardware solutions, internal development and implementation of document archive solution, and continue with web hosting service to maintain increased reliability. Some final comments. As we develop this year's budget request predicated on a rolling 5-year strategic plan, as I had mentioned earlier, our key themes were prudent progress, solidification of previous instruction and management initiatives, continuation and enhancement of cost avoidance and savings, and most of all, maintaining, supporting a high level of service to our students, parent, and community, while being extremely mindful of the state of the economy. The general fund budget presented to you tonight is $60,776,840, which represents less than 0.25% increase, or $141,956 over this year's budget, and is $1,431,203 below the default budget. Please also keep in mind we have 2 contracts, teachers and allied health, which will be reflected in separate warrant articles. As Peter will tell you later, we're expecting approximately $97,000 more in state revenues. Catastrophic aid should be flat, and we anticipate approximately $100,000 more in local receipts. To address the above issues, to make sure that we looked as diligently as possible, the administrative staff reduced their initial budget request by $1,792,000 and change. We have continued to eliminate, reduce, or redeploy positions based on enrollment and need. In addition, we continue to employ a multitude of cost savings and cost avoidance measures while protecting the community's investment in the school district. I think it's worth repeating the significant dollar impact of a number of our cost avoidance activities. To wit, our energy management program, $2.6 million cumulative since inception, $300,000 plus for FY10. Conversion to gas, 3-year payback, anticipated savings over 5 years, $150,000. Phone contract, $18,000. Our in-house special education programs, the $18.2 million since '06, anticipated cost avoidance for next year, $4,341,124. E-rate, $25,000. Consumable educational materials, $85,000. Grade 3 and 4 literature, $28,000. Grade 7 language, $12,000. High school biology, $1,800. High school chemistry, $19,000. The anticipated total savings and cost avoidance comes to $4,962,820. If I add in the recommended $1,255,787 of staff reduction, that brings us to a cost avoidance savings of $6,218,607. To frame it another way, the net cost avoidance and staff reductions for FY010 is worth $1.82 per thousand. That's $547 on a $300,000 home. That's $729 on a $400,000 home. Lastly, as an intelligent investor, one might ask, what quality am I getting for my investment? A sample of the taxpayer's investment return I note below. 90% of the 2008 graduating class was accepted to 2- and 4-year colleges. Our dropout rate the last 2 years has been 1% or less. We have 17 honors courses enrolling 994 students, 17 project running STAR courses with an enrollment of 427 students, continuing high achievement results on state and local assessments, a multitude of curricular and co-curricular activities. Articulation agreements with 22 colleges last year resulted in a cumulative 4-year scholarship total of $964,000. And although I noted most of these things are high school related, none of these things would have happened if we did not have quality programs at the middle school and elementary level. They enable these results to occur at the high school, along with the fine work that is done at the high school. All this done with the most recent figures from the state, with an average per pupil cost $294 below the state average. We believe the budget proposal for 2009-10 does translate the initiatives in our strategic plan, is financially prudent in light of current economic conditions, and protects the investment in our schools. The proposed budget, translated into action, will continue to allow us to fulfill our motto, giving wings to children's dreams. At this point, we'd like to thank the board and the budget committee in advance for their thoughtful deliberations and comments as we go through the FY10 budget process, starting when we come back from Thanksgiving vacation. So with that, I conclude my remarks regarding the budget, and I'd like to turn it over to Peter, who will walk you through the organization of the budget and also make some comments related to some of the financial aspects and financial points. And I thank everyone for their attention to my presentation, long-winded as it may be. Mr. Carl.
Yes. The only points I'll point out on my financial impact is the 4 charts that I've written. Chart 1, I think, is probably one of the more important ones. Chart 1 shows the equalized valuation per pupil. What that's showing is, on average, the Londonderry tax base works harder than the state average to provide education for the number of kids attending the program. We're not talking costs, we're not talking cost per student. I'm talking the tax base funding the number of kids that attend public education. And the reason why I show this one is this is really the foundation of the Claremont 2 decision, where the whole funding mechanism for the state education was changed and based on. Chart 2 shows the per pupil costs of education, and I've put in the Londonderry and then showed the state average. Chart 3, and I went back to the last year where there was no Claremont, the year before the Claremont decision, to show where local property taxes were for education, and then showed the history of what has happened since the Claremont 2 decision, or the increased state funding from really the adequacy grant for Londonderry. And then Chart 4 shows the history of the state adequacy grant that the school district has received. What I usually do now is this, obviously my full report is in there and it's full of numbers, and if you really need help going to sleep, you can read all those numbers and it certainly will help you. What I do is, just because there is a lot of effort that goes into the book, 734 pages, I'll walk through the first few sections of the book and highlight some of the numbers and, that highlight the superintendent's presentation. First of all is the table of contents. Then we start then from there we go to the calendar, which is on page 1. The dates in the calendar that are in bold are important. That's why they're bold. Those are statutory or per our state, our local charter. Those dates can't be changed, or if they're changed, they can only go a day or two either way in order to meet charter requirements. The calendar dates where we talk about what presentations are going to be presented on particular dates, that's where we are at the moment. Obviously, as we know, sometimes they do change depending on the length of presentations, comments, and questions by the board and public. So those presentations could change, and I'm sure the board and Nate and I will make an announcement as to what is being changed regarding the schedule of presentations. Obviously, the important one is the date of the deliberative session. The tax rate calculation sheet starts on page 3. This is the spreadsheet that summarizes the revenues that's anticipated, the operating budget. Nate mentioned there are hopefully 2 more special articles on the way. Any adjustments, either by error or new information comes about, we always make a change. We will reflect it on the spreadsheet, and usually before we start a new budget session, we will pass out a new spreadsheet, highlight what's being changed, the impact up or down on the tax rate, and then we start the presentations. In the beginning of the calculation spreadsheet, we start with the revenues, as we always, state revenues. We go to local revenues. Just if you do the math, state revenues equate to 36% of our expected or projected revenues. Local receipts, including the anticipated fund balance, represents 3%. The remaining 61% on the proposed operating budget of the superintendent, 61% of the revenues is the property tax. We turn the page and we start, we show the operating budget as proposed by the superintendent, and next to it is the calculated default budget. And from there, we simply go down the columns, and at different intervals, we'll show you the total appropriations being asked, the tax impact, the variance to the current budget. We then add a next section, special articles by the board. We're proposing a maintenance trust fund of $450,000, and that usually gets discussed as Chuck Zappel presents the buildings and grounds. That's kind of an addendum to the buildings and grounds budget. This will be the section, if you see, we have plus various contracts. So if and when the teacher and allied health are ratified by their groups and then approved by the board, the cost items will then show in this section, and the tax rate impact will then filter through down to the bottom line, so to speak. Again, we stop and we show you the tax impact. We show you the variance, the amount to be raised from taxation, all the way through. Once in a while, in the last couple of years, several years, we've had, for example, one special petition article that we get. I don't think we're going to get one this year, but this is where we put petition articles. We have one, for example, we have a holding for the Fields article, if it should come. And then at the end, we'll show you the projected tax rates, local, state, total. When Nate and I talk about property taxes, we will usually combine the estimated or proposed state property tax and the local property tax. We treat that as property taxes to support education. And then the next page shows you the projected tax bills or effects on assessed valuation. We use $300,000 and $400,000 assessed valuations as benchmarks and calculate the estimated tax bills based on what the proposed and what the default budget and any special articles that are approved and move forward. This is the sheet that, as I said, will summarize any adjustments. And this is like a running tab of where we are in comparison to the current level of funding, or be it the tax rate or net appropriations that are used for tax dollars. Any questions on this? Does anybody have any question on the default budget, how that's calculated, what that means? On page 9, we provide analysis of change. This is a nice way to kind of summarize the change to get to the proposed default budget from the current operating budget. Salaries, benefits, miscellaneous operating items, and we tie out to the default budget and the superintendent's proposed budget. We do this because I think it's a nice way of seeing how we get, or what's increased or what's decreased to get to the two budgets. The next page is a form that if we were a true SB2 town or a school district, we would be required to report this, send this report to the state. We do it anyway since we, for all intents and purposes, follow SB2 rules. So we just do it. But we think our sheet is a more clearer way of showing you how we got from the operating budget to the superintendent's budget to the default budget. On page 11 is the form I just talked about. On page 15, we have the district's chart of accounts. I apologize for the small typo. We try to get it all on one page. Starting on page 17, we provide,
Pete, before you leave that, could you explain to
okay,
people
yep.
in the audience the difference between a function and an object?
Yep.
And then we look at that.
When we get to the various reports, I'll show you in a section. One of the ways we sort reports is by function or object code. Function kind of answers the question, who is getting the funding? Who is requesting the funding? Regular education, special education, athletics, music, that kind of stuff. The object code is what? What is getting funded? Supplies, equipment, salaries, benefits, utilities. So those are the two ways that you can look at the operating budget, either by function, is regular ed getting more or less money, is special ed getting more or less money, or object code, how much the salary is going up or down, how much is benefits going up or down. On page 17, we start with a variety of report formats. First one is function summary. Again, the function is the who. Page 21, we provide a formatted function by object summary. And this is really the one that we'll use the most when we present first, second, third quarter, so forth, reports, financial reports to the school board. We use this function and an object code summary to show where we are in the budget. On page 33 is the object code summary. Simply, if you look at it, it'll show you the salaries, variety of ways, benefits, utilities, supplies, equipment. So it's all district-wide. So it's all salaries, all benefits, district-wide. On page 39, we show a comparison. So on page 39, you'll see a report that has the current, last year, the current budget, the superintendents, boards, all in columns all the way around, so you can see a comparison to where we are to what we're being proposed. I'll say to the board, the budget committee, and actually anyone, if there is a format that you would like, you'd want to see it this way, you want to see it this way, we use the Munis program with Crystal Reports, and I'm willing to bet we could probably get any formatting that you desire. Might take a day or two, but if you really need or would like to see the salaries like this, if you can call me up and explain what you're looking for, we can probably turn it around for you in about a day or two. We try to give you a variety of these formats that we know that we have often asked, either one board member or another has asked several times, but obviously somebody, if you want it done broken out differently, we can take care of it. On page 57, we have the district's debt schedule. Just to note that the debt schedule is increasing, mainly due to the South School principal that will hit the 2010 budget. On page 61 begins the strategic plan, which Nate has said is the basis for what we do And then from what we do, we cost out what we want to do, which is the budget, and which is the budget you have now. On page 79, we always enclose the community CIP plan. I say community because, as you know, the CIP committee is made up of school, town, planning board, budget committee members. So, but we put the entire plan in there in our book. On page 215, we begin the individual programs or buildings, budget reports, executive summaries presented by each director or principal, the individual budgets for that program or building. And on page 345, as Nate alluded to in his report, we provide a listing of all staff changes that Nate had talked about, giving you the positions being discussed and the dollar impact. That's the book and how it's laid out. Obviously, myself and Nita are open to, if you have any questions about the book, you're looking for a particular format, how we arrived at this number, just give us a call or email us, and we'll try to get back to you within the day.
Thank you, Peter. And with that, we just want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving, unless anybody has any questions.
Questions from anybody up here?
Budget committee.
Yep, go ahead, Steve.
Just to note, as we came into the room, it showed up on the website. So for those at home who aren't leaving town or having family in, you can access it. It's a 20 meg, it's a 20 meg zip file, but it is available on the website at londonderry.org.
Unless you have 2 reams of paper in your printer, I would suggest you not print it.
Yeah, and if somebody wanted a disc, they can stop by the office.
I'll send you
Yes.
color one.
We have some extra discs.
I know,
Yes,
I know. It's,
do.
Does anybody from the budget committee have any
It's colored,
questions
yes.
for Peter, Nate? No? Okay. You guys are good? All right, with that, everybody have a wonderful Thanksgiving. Stay safe. Mr. Clark?
That open meeting, is that include questions from us, or is that just open to various?
No, open, I think, means if we have to have an extra meeting, right?
Yes.
yes.
So you're welcome to speak at any meeting you'd like. So open is just available. With that, everybody have a,
Motion to adjourn?
Second,
got a motion, a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Nate,
Good night.
how did you make out with your superintendents on the issue about the fees for students at,
I raised the issue with them, they're gonna bring it back to the NHIA.
Off to what?
Executive committee. I
Conservation
spoke
Commission.
to our representative.
Beginning of
Conservation Commission.
One of the ideas we came up
My standard existential doubt,
was,
not smart enough for this.
$5 they could buy multiple.
not.